go ahead and get started. I know we have just so many wonderful folks here to celebrate this occasion and commemorate this occasion and make sure that we make again, another firm statement that we will defend this city and everyone in it when it comes to whether it is profiling, hatred, division, or arrest unfairly. We are grateful to live together in this place and to stand together. For us, this is an additional statement, an affirmation of our values. And it's values that many I know in this room, whether it's elected officials or advocates, or even in their own lived experience, values that you've had and that you've fought for and that you've defended, for some of you, your entire professional life. For others, they're new to the fight, but everyone has played a critical role in this particular piece of legislation. And it is, once again, an example of Albuquerque being at the forefront on this particular issue. The issue about saying that we are a safe community for everyone, no matter where you came from, no matter what language you speak, no matter how you got here. And so we also know this comes, of course, in a terrible time, a time of fear, of arrest, of deportation. We know what happened this summer with respect to ICE in Minneapolis and Chicago. And we know it kind of ebbs and flows, right? We might not have heard something recently in the last week, but we know that next week there will be something as long as this federal administration is in office. Because frankly, we just completely disagree on this issue. There is no common ground. There is just keeping our communities safe. That's what we're trying to do here. Now, I want to also share, because I want to hear from the advocates and from our city councilors, but I just want to say a few other things because we saw and we know this is becoming an issue of both, number one, it is real. I want to remind people that these examples of completely illegal or unnecessary, you name the word, arrests and detentions have happened in Albuquerque. They have happened to people that I know everyone here knows. They've happened to people that I personally know. We know this happens, and there is still a myth out there that somehow, we're just worried about things that aren't real, or these deportations aren't real, or people who are citizens are not getting arrested because of the color of their skin. They are, and they are in Albuquerque, and they are even more so in other places around the country. And so, number one, I just want to be clear, unequivocally, that this is not just a perceived threat. It is a real action that happens in our city and cities across the country each and every day. That is one reason why this law is so important. The second thing is that perception is also impacting our society. And there have been some articles on this recently about the lack of attendance in our school system for kids who speak a different language, for kids who are totally here by themselves legally in every way and should be able to go to school. And our society is better off if they can go to school. And their families are better off if they can go to school. Yet because of fear of deportation, they are not. And this is now recently being documented here and all around the country. And it's the same with healthcare services. It's the same even with basic nutrition needs that you get in after-school programs and so forth. So both of these things are real. There are real completely inappropriate detentions and deportations. And there is also real perceived impact that is now hurting our schools, hurting our healthcare system, hurting our families, and fundamentally hurting our city. So in the face of that, we stand in defiance. We stood in the first place together here about 9 months ago to make a statement that we could do right away by administrative action. Then we stood together at the county level to make sure that we could do what we can for all of Bernalillo County. And then you all went up to Santa Fe and changed state law. That's right. And so whether it's the ICE detention centers or it's the non-cooperation for ICE detentions with everyone across the state, we know that we are making it clear that in New Mexico, we are here for our immigrant families. And we're here to make sure that everyone feels safe. And also that we are not here for ICE exploitation, even for business purposes and contracting purposes for detention centers. You all took care of that in the legislature, and that makes me proud to be a New Mexican. Now, about 9 months ago, we also heard that City Council wanted to make sure and do what they could to shore up all of this at the city level. And as time would have it, we also learned some things along the way. So this City Council ordinance has a lot of best practices that we got from the county, from other cities, that we learned from our administrative action, and now we've put them into city law. And so that is what we are signing today. It's essentially a best of, if you will, of all of those policies. And now, of course, the idea is that it doesn't matter, it should not matter who the elected official is. This is now the law in Albuquerque. As of today. So with that, I know we're going to hear from our counselors, but I do want to start. We have so many organizations that have helped with this in so many ways, whether it's ACLU New Mexico or the Immigrant Law Center, CCP, the Dreamers, and SAMIA, our own Office of Equity and Inclusion, and OIRA office, but I think we that's why I haven't said I Centro. Because I have in my notes that Myrna and Elisa are going to speak for El Centro. So I want to hand it over to them. Yeah. So Myrna and Elisa.
Okay. Buenas tardes, alcalde Tim Keller. Mi nombre es Mirna Lascano y soy miembro líder activa del centro. Me siento orgullosa de contribuir con mi trabajo a la economía de este estado y de haber luchado por más de 20 años con el centro para defender las políticas amigables para inmigrantes en Albuquerque. Hoy estamos aquí para agradecerle a usted y a los concejales, copatrocinadores y a nuestros campeones quienes escucharon a la comunidad y apoyaron que la comunidad liderara, luchando mano a mano para aprobar nuestra ordenanza, lugares comunitarios más seguros, ya que ahora me da la confianza y seguridad y bienestar emocional de dejar a mis hijos en la escuela.
No estás sola, Mirna. Sí se puede.
Dejar a mis hijos en la escuela y saber que puedo volver a recogerlos, así como también poder acudir a servicios médicos tranquilamente o pasar un rato familiar en un parque recreativo. Albuquerque, la tierra del encanto, ha sido mi hogar por más de 20 años. Por eso, como comunidad, merecemos un lugar digno para todos, donde tengamos menos miedo y más confianza para todos, y sobre todo que nuestros valores y nuestro legado por el que tanto hemos luchado no se pierda. Nunca ese respeto y seguridad para todos. Esta ordenanza es el resultado del poder de la gente organizada, de trabajadores, familias y líderes que no se rindieron. Y aunque hoy honramos, también sabemos que la lucha continúa para mantener a nuestras familias unidas. Un derecho humano, seguiremos organizándonos para proteger a nuestras comunidades, trabajadores y construir un futuro sin miedo. No podríamos ver esto sin todas las organizaciones aliadas. Gracias por estar al lado de nuestras familias. Gracias por escuchar al pueblo.
My name is Mirna Lascano, and I'm a proud, active leader and member of El Centro. I'm proud to contribute through my work to the economy for this state and to have fought for more than 20 years alongside El Centro to defend immigrant-friendly policies in Albuquerque. Today, we are here to thank you, the co-sponsors and our champions who listen to the community and support immigrant-led organizing, working mano a mano to pass our Safer Community Places Ordinance. Because of this, I now feel greater confidence, safety, and emotional well-being knowing I can leave my children at school and be able to pick them up, access to healthcare services with peace of mind, and spend time with my family in our parks. Albuquerque, the land of the enchantment, has been my home for over 20 years. That is why, as a community, we deserve a place where there is less fear and more trust for everyone, and where the values and legacy we have fought so hard for are never lost. Where respect and safety are guaranteed for all. This ordinance is the result of the power of organized people, workers, families, and leaders who never gave up, who will never give up. And while today we honor this moment, we also know the struggle continues to keep our families together, a basic human right. We will keep organizing to protect our communities, our workers, and to build a future without fear. We know that this has not been able to do without all the allied organizations in here. Thank you for you standing with our families. Thank you for listening to the people.
Thank you so much. We know that any law requires a community behind it to make it happen. And I want to appreciate the experience that was shared directly from Myrna. Thank you so much for your courage and also for sharing your story. We also know that it takes actual lawmakers who are advised by a bunch of staff, including El Centro staff and others from the groups that I mentioned. And so want to acknowledge and hear from our sponsors. I don't really have a particular order, but Councilor Baca, you want to go first?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, everyone who's here today. Thank you, Centro and all the other groups. We live in unprecedented times, right? With an administration that has no problem committing the most egregious civil and human rights violations around. So to be able to come together, to show our community that we're here and we're doing everything we can, but to do it together, that matters. That's important. So I just want to thank everybody who's been a part of this.
Councilor Tejas?
Thank you. I'm just honored to be here and feel very privileged to be in this room with such amazing, incredible people who have worked very hard to get us to where we are. And I want to remind everyone, we live in New Mexico, right? We are the land of enchantment, and we know that the Zia symbol is the perfect symbol of friendship among all united cultures. It is in our pledge, and there was a lot of conversation about what our immigrants bring to our community as far as economics, but none of that matters. We should be here to protect you simply because you are you, and you are part of our greater humanity, and that is why this ordinance is so critical. Nothing else matters except for that you are you.
Councilor Rogers.
All right.
From the International District.
Yes. Yes, I think, this matters so much for the entire city, but specifically for my district, this is, and for all of the folks here today, it's a game changer for safety in our communities. And I'm grateful to work alongside all of you. And let's be real, this community is the reason I'm sitting in this seat as a counselor right now today. It's this community that literally, this community. But what's exciting and what I'm really proud of is this legislation covers more than just Latin immigrants, right? It's not, in the Black community, we're talking about this. We have Haitians, we have other folks from other countries, African countries. We have a whole African church in my district that is afraid to meet for church, to have faith, to fellowship together, because they're afraid of what could potentially happen if they organize and get together in their church. And this says that they can come back to church. That's the first thing I heard from my African brothers and sisters in my district that wanted to worship together, that this gives them the feeling of safety so that they could come back to their place of worship that they have not been in for months because of fear. And so I am just grateful to the amazing organizers and folks that are on the front lines with Semilla, with El Centro. Those are the folks that I call when I get calls from my constituents asking, this is what we see, can you help us verify if this is real? There's so many things that are happening in our communities, from AI images that have gone viral on social media in Albuquerque. I have to say to the public and to folks that stop doing that. Stop literally sowing fear into our community with your stupid AI pictures of ICE bringing trucks into Albuquerque. That's not true. That's not. We debunked all of those things. The other day I was getting calls of a checkpoint, an ICE checkpoint, right, with signs. We know that they're not going to announce themselves at a checkout point, and right. So just public, please be diligent and use the tools to look up these pictures and find out if they're real or not. Call in and continue to ask, because we are on the front lines with these folks. I know I am out in my district, and we know what's happening, and we can get you the answers that you need and connect you to the resources that you need. So to the folks that are not a part of these communities, stop the madness. Stop adding fuel to the fire and fear into our communities. Albuquerque is not here for it. We're not doing it, and we're done. So I just have to name that, because that's something that I get a lot of calls about, and that's continuing to happen more and more. That this legislation doesn't necessarily help with, but we have to get the education out there of things that are happening in our community. And have to give a special shout out, of course, to Equity and Inclusion, to Beatriz Valencia. Working alongside this woman in Equity and Inclusion, and the whole Equity and Inclusion team that is doing the frontline work to educate our communities, educate business owners on I-9 audits, all of the things that they're doing to create safety. We are a city that has an amazing team where other cities don't have. There she is. There she is. I don't know. We don't celebrate enough. This city of Albuquerque has an equity and inclusion team of 10 plus people. That is unheard of in city government, to literally work alongside all of us to make sure we're living these values. So just thank you, thank you, thank you. And we'll keep showing up for you. Absolutely keep showing up for you.
So we also kind of wanted to bookend our counselors with some more perspective from the community. And so I think, Elisa, you were up next.
Yes, Elisa.
Buenas tardes, alcalde Tim Keller, concejales. Buenas tardes a todos. Mi nombre es Elisa Reyes y soy miembro del centro. Me siento orgullosa de participar de esta ordenanza, donde el centro y otras organizaciones comunitarias también estuvieron presentes y logramos un voto de 5-4 este pasado 16 de marzo. También estoy orgullosa de la comunidad inmigrante porque trabajamos juntos en fortalecer la economía, expansión y crecimiento de este país, gracias a su fuerza laboral. Gracias a todas las personas que tuvieron la oportunidad, como yo, de compartir testimonios hablando del miedo de acudir a clínicas, hospitales, guarderías, escuelas, incluso algunas tiendas donde estacionamientos son blancos de operativos de ICE. En esta ordenanza logramos una garantía de servicios esenciales para la comunidad. Gracias, alcalde. Gracias a cada uno de ustedes. Son patrocinadores por trabajar con la comunidad inmigrante para hacer esto posible.
Good afternoon, Mayor Keller and councilors. My name is Elisa Reyes, and I'm a member of the Center. I feel proud to take part in this ordinance, in which the Center and other community organizations were also present, and where we achieved a 5-4 vote this past March. I'm also proud of the immigrant community because we have worked together to strengthen the economy, expansion, and grow of this country, thanks to its labor force. Thank you to everyone who had the opportunity, like I did, to share testimony about the fear of going to clinics, hospitals, daycare centers, schools, and even some stores where parking lots have been targeted by ICE operations. Through this ordinance, we have secured a guarantee of essential services for the community. Thank you, Mayor and co-sponsors, for working with the immigrant community to make this possible.
Okay, we before we sign this, just want to touch base on a couple of other things, and one is, it's always important to remind folks, especially because I think of the misleading dialogue that we hear about a couple of things. Number one is just economically the positive impact that immigrants have on our economy is hundreds of millions of dollars every year. Also, we know that depending on the estimates, about 20,000 immigrants live in Albuquerque. These are important because we saw what happened in Minneapolis. We've talked about the moral issue and the family issue. But I also want you to know we met with the Minneapolis mayor right when this was happening. Without going into the backstory, there were a bunch of mayors because we went to court on all this stuff. But, people need to remember too, if this isn't your thing, I understand that, but it shut down the Minneapolis economy. I just want to be clear. There were huge sections of the city where there was no one to prepare food, where there was no one to do all sorts of different kinds of work that is needed each and every day. So I want to at least just highlight that economic impact as well. I also want to mention another popular myth is with respect to crime. I want to be clear that there is nothing in this ordinance that changes the fact that if you are doing something illegal, you will be arrested by our police department. Illegal activity is treated the same. The irony is you're treated the same no matter what, because we don't ask for your status or your documentation. And so the criminal justice system does its thing, but I want you to know this changes absolutely nothing for how we actually keep our streets safe with respect to criminal behavior each and every day. In fact, I would argue this makes us safer because people are not afraid to report criminal activity. They're not afraid to engage with city government, not afraid to engage with APD because they know that will not lead to any type of deportation or coordination with ICE. So this also makes us safer, I think, than almost any other city who has not implemented this. Now, also, Councilor Rogers touched on this a little bit, but we do have an awesome Office of Equity and Inclusion. And we have also kept this. You will notice we did not change the name. We say the word equity because we're proud of our office and we understand what that word means and how important it is. And there's many people working in that office, but also the notion that this does not just affect essentially, folks in the Hispanic community or Latino community. It does affect the Native American community, unfortunately. And so our Native American liaisons have done great work. I want to acknowledge them as well. I don't think they're here with us today, but also, as you mentioned, in the Black community, and Nahima's here. Give us a wave. She was here. There you are. Thank you for your work in our Office of Community Black Engagement. Give her a round of applause as well. And in our Asian community, this is also an issue. I think Carlo also is out, but we've had now for about a year, our city's first ever Asian liaison. And so Carlo Aragon has done a good job there. Give him a round of applause. And of course, she was acknowledged before, but I have to say, there's one woman at the city who works on this issue every single day. And I know a lot of the advocates here know this, but a lot of people don't. A lot of people show up for advocacy, which is important. But when we actually have to help people, when we have to coordinate services, that takes a whole different form of leadership on a daily basis to literally help people in their individual life. That is Beatrice. So thank you again for stepping in. Okay, so let me close with just this. We also know fundamentally, I believe, this is part of who we are as a community. If you think about our city's long history, even though it is filled with terrible moments and it is filled with tragedy, it is also a defining characteristic of this city, that we embrace each other regardless of our differences. That is how we have survived. That is fundamental to our core resilience. And I believe in many ways this policy is just a modern values statement of who we are and who we have been for a long time as a community. And it's also a loud statement that it's going to stay that way. So we want to make it clear and simple that everyone belongs in Albuquerque, and that we take care of our own here, and that we will not stop working to protect our families and to make sure that everyone feels safe to go about their lives in our city without fear. So with that, let's make this law. So I know some folks have heard this before, but there are fun things about signing a law. And one fun thing is a little pen, which is a fun commemorative item. These pens are very cheap. They probably won't work much after this. They already are leaking all over my hand. But we have some, so I'm going to take my time to sign it with these. I'll pass them down. If folks don't have a pen yet, or if you were sort of new to this, please feel free and take one. And I even have one, I had the most bills vetoed ever by Governor Martinez, and she gave me that pen. Which you got to credit kind of morbid humor, but it was okay.
Don't ever do that to me.
Well, just pass good bills. Anyway, so I also do, as a new city councilor, I do want to give the first one to Councilor Tim. And I have no idea what date today is. I know we're in April.
7th, April 7th.
I'm going to start with the A for April. Give that one there to Councilor. Okay. And then we'll pass it down.
I have a couple.
Okay. Yeah, and you can pass some behind you too.
Yeah. He said I have one too. You want to use that one? Okay.
All right, we're going through these. I'm gonna have to buy some more. Got another term. All right, everybody. Congratulations. Thank you so much. So I think what we're going to do just before we break here, it's certainly there can be questions and so forth. So what I want to do is, there's so many people here, if the media doesn't mind, why don't we take a few questions, but then we'll stick around later if you have more. So let's limit it to 3 just so folks who need to leave can, but we'll organize others, or you can just talk to us all after. It's up to you. So Dan, you want to take it from here?
I have a question. I think it's mentioned that businesses now have to put signs where it's private and where it's not, right? How is the city going to implement this or make sure that they do that or follow this rule?
Yeah, thank you for that question. And we have had those. And I know, first, I will say we're working with the county to make sure that we educate businesses on how that works. But because we have city councilors here, any of you want to field that more directly?
Yeah, I can cover that because that question's coming into my district a lot. So we've had to work with our teams on the administration and city council to answer those. So a lot of businesses already have these practices if they have badge access, right? It'll say badge access or restricted access. That would qualify for that part of the mandate. So really it's just a matter of putting a sign. If there's a door that they're not, people from the public are not able to go to, you just put a public sign, or private sign. So that means, and protocols that we have at the city that through equity and inclusion, training our staff also on restricted areas and who can get access to those and not. So it's really about coming up with safety type of processes that I know El Centro works with me on for our community. Like our Adult Basic Education Center called and reached out for some of that. So it's really just about making sure that they're well advertised, so we know that that's a place that ICE cannot go into, and so that provides safety for folks.
Yeah, and I just want to give a couple of examples on this. You know, we understand in America, interestingly, we have private property. And you have to have a warrant to access private property. That includes ICE. And I think this is another one where ICE has really tried to push the limit, because if you don't have signage identifying that, there becomes some gray areas. And not to go into it, this actually has to do with even challenges with trespassing and even the unhoused and things like this. But the point is this: in general, the back of the house is typically deemed private property. So that includes kitchens. That is very important. Now, I will say this. Typically, and again, everyone knows I'm not a lawyer. That's why I'm talking about this, because if I get it wrong, a lawyer can clear it up. Typically, the front of the house is deemed public space, and that is important to know. So I do know for our city properties, for example, at a community center, the front foyer is a public space. And that does mean that law enforcement can be there and different kinds of people can be there. However, the back of the house is not. And that means they cannot be there without consent and permission from the owners or a warrant. And so that's really what this is about. It's just a demarcation about where public and private space is. It's also not new. It happens in all sorts of contexts. But we know that, unfortunately, ICE has been trying to really take advantage of folks not knowing this. And so we're going to have to just provide notice and learn up on it.
Yeah, and the other thing I would add is the calls that I've been getting are from folks who have their business in their home. And so I think there's some work we have to do on education for work from home businesses. And the guidance we've gotten from legal was same thing. If you don't want public in your bedrooms, put private on all of those, and so that you can still provide protection for folks who work from home or their businesses in their home.
Thank you. I think we can leave it there. All
Is
right.
that good?
Thank you.
All right. Appreciate you guys. Thanks so much, everyone. I'm actually really glad you asked that.
Thank you guys.